One of the major disadvantages for points cards is that you get less value for cash back compared to travel. This is awesome for people who want to travel, but that's not going to be everyone. Hey guys, it's Sebastian from AskSebby. Today we're going to look at 3 issuers who are challenging this stance. One of them, Capital One, is going to be temporary, but American Express is the potential long-term one, and that's the one that might change the game. As always, there's going to be a chapters told down below if you need to skip around. Big favor from you guys is to give this a thumbs up and to share this with anyone who's considering cashing out their points. Starting off with Citi as well as American Express, both have added options to cash out points at 1 cent per point. This means that 1,000 points is going to be $10, 10,000 points is going to be $100. For Citi, they're adding this to the Premier card. On one hand, it's pretty exciting, but technically it is something that's already allowed in the Prestige. On the other hand though, the Prestige is a pretty expensive card, $4.95 annual fee compared to the $95 of the Premier. There is a pretty interesting play here for us as well as Citi, just because gas is one of those categories that have historically not been competitive for major issuers for most of their cards, but it is a category for the Citi Premier. With the Citi Premier, you get 3x back, and I guess that's 3% now, on restaurants, supermarkets, gas stations, air travel, and hotels. So pretty much 3 categories that are normal everyday spenders. And then for the air travel and hotel one, if you look at the terms, it includes travel agencies. So stuff like Expedia and Orbitz, that's going to count. The reason all of this matters is because it makes the Premier card a viable card for the cashback crowd. Long term, it ends up being an all-in-one catch-all card, and it's pretty useful for the people who don't want a lot of cards. Just because I like having one card for travel, another one for grocery stores, another one for gas, that's not everyone. A lot of people just want one simple solution. So long term, there's a ton of value, but even for the short term intro bonus hunters, it makes a lot of sense. As of filming, the intro bonus is 60,000 points after $4,000 in spend in the first 3 months. 60,000 points now is going to be at least $600 for $4,000 MSR. That's a 15% return on spend. Once you factor in the $95 annual fee, you're netting $505 for signing up for the card and putting spend that you were already going to do onto that card. Factor in that you can downgrade this into a no annual fee Citi Double Cash card in the second year if you decide the Premier card is not for you. On that note, if you are someone that wants to learn about this card or pretty much any other card from any other issuer and you want to support the channel, we have links on our website, AskSebby.com, and also down below in the description box. Reminder that for American Express, this is targeted. It's not going to be for everyone. So checking my account and checking Mandy's account, neither of us are targeted for this. The reason it's interesting is because it feels like they're testing this, and I wonder how it's going to affect their long-term strategy. With stuff like this, American Express is the one footing the bill for you using your points for increased value. So those 100,000 points initially covered $600 in charges, and now it's going to cover 1,000. I would argue that they generally want to make this not appealing and push it towards other options just because it's more strategic for them. A good example of this is going to be transfer partners. So when you take your MR points or membership reward points and transfer them out to one of American Express's partners, something like Singapore Airlines or Hilton. Transfer partners are interesting because arguably it's a win-win-win. American Express is pretty much the Costco of points because they can buy a lot of them at a discount from these airline and hotel groups. For example, here is a pretty good article of them spending $1 billion on points. For us, it's a win because it's one of the few ways that normal people with normal jobs can actually take these aspirational trips without either ravaging your savings or being very well off. Companies are happy with this too because you're effectively prepaying for services that you might not redeem. This is exactly the same reason why Starbucks loves people buying gift cards. If you happen to lose your card or forget about it or it expires, that's free money for them. Okay, cool. Why does any of this matter though? The reason it matters is because in this situation, American Express is not getting their bottom line affected. If anything, it's benefiting them. My fear is that if American Express makes the cash out path of 1 cent per point into a permanent benefit, it's going to hit their bottom line. It's either going to lead to annual fees increasing in the next 2 to 5 years, or we're going to see some other major changes. With someone like Citi, they have to do this to stay competitive and to stay moderately relevant. With American Express though, they're already fighting for the crown with Chase. Companies want to make money. They'll happily forego current profits for higher future profits. The big question is whether this is through increased annual fees or something that's detrimental to us. On that note, this video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. Explore new skills, develop existing interests, and get lost in creativity. I'm currently taking a course by YouTube's own MKBHD where he walks through his process filming and editing videos. A lot of my aesthetic for these videos, if you can't tell, was from Philip DeFranco, and for my travel stuff, it's Casey Neistat. MKBHD is the king of physical products, and I'm excited to add that into my toolkit. If you're someone feeling stuck, creative challenges and productivity classes can be a great way to structure your time and to set up achievable goals. Whether you're bored or trying to grow your skill set, Skillshare is one of the best places to keep learning. The first 1,000 people who use the link in my description box will get 1 free month of Skillshare Premium. After that, it's only about $10 a month, so pretty reasonable. Thank you Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Moving over to Capital One, we're seeing an extension of some limited time perks until June 30th of 2021. You're going to see this on the Venture as well as the Venture One. It's pretty much an extension of the Purchase Eraser program, so normally when you book travel, you'll see it as a statement item and you can use your points to erase that purchase. Until June 30th, it's going to keep working for streaming apps, delivery, as well as for dining. Unlike American Express and Citi though, these are still for specific categories rather than effectively being for everything. It also feels like Capital One is pretty set on this end date versus considering this as a long-term thing. I still think if you're someone not interested in these YOLO trips and these aspirational things, if you're just trying to do everyday expenses, this is a pretty good redemption. Be aware that they're not extending this for the Spark business cards, which had a similar promotion. I feel like Capital One is in that weird puberty zone where it's between two different sides. On one hand, they have some pretty good offers for low spenders, but on the other hand, it feels like they're going after the American Express crowd. A good example of this is going to be the Save for One card, awesome for cashback hunters and also people just focused on cashback as a long-term card, $200 as an intro bonus for $500 minimum spend in the first 3 months. So that's awesome, that's 40% return on spend, and for low spenders, an extra $200 isn't too bad at all. If you compare this to the Venture card, there's a 100,000 point intro bonus, but that requires you to spend $20,000 in total. So it's not as bad as it seems. There is 2 tranches. The first one is going to be 50,000 points after $3,000 in minimum spend in the first 3 months. I think this first tranche makes a lot of sense. I think for normal people, I'd probably just go for that and ignore the second part. The second part is an additional 50,000 points for an additional $17,000 in spend. Unless there's someone with a big property tax bill or maybe you're doing a lot of home improvement, I'd probably avoid that second part. And even if you do have those things, I'd rather get another card, hit a different intro bonus, or hit maybe 3 or 4 intro bonuses for that spend instead of just this one big chunk. That first tranche is going to be 50,000 points, so that's $500 in value, given the current promotions, $3,000 MSR, that's 16.7% return on spend. Be aware that Capital One generally does not like people with too many accounts, so if you're someone in the late game, then it might be too late. So for me as well as Mandy, we can't get Capital One cards because they just won't approve us. Doesn't really matter that you have a great income or a great score because we're not the type of people they're after. For a lot of people, and especially people with lower spend, I'd recommend doing Chase first because there's bonuses there into the 524, and then doing a pit stop with Capital One, Barclays, US Bank, Bank of America, and Citi before finishing off with American Express. Your mileage may vary depending on what you're after and what you're looking to do, and the fact that bonuses change all the time, but there's a lot of value in the middle that people just ignore and skip through. Again, if you're someone who wants to learn about cards, pretty much any cards from any issuers, we have links on our site, as well as down below in the description box. My question for you guys is, what are your thoughts on issuers making it easier for people to redeem for cash-like transactions rather than for travel? Do you think it's good because it's more flexibility, or do you think it's going to end up being bad, either lower bonuses, higher annual fees, or something else in the back end? Let me know and everyone else know in the comments down below. If you got to this point in the video, love you guys so much. Thank you for the support. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you know anyone else who'd benefit, share this with them. It'll probably help them out. But otherwise, hope you guys liked it. See you guys next time.